So now we know how is the connection between the average cost, the number of firms, and the price that each company is going to fix on the number of firms. In fact, we know that this CC is going to be the curve for the average cost, okay? So this CC, well, here is the average cost. The curve is known as the CC, is an upward sloping curve. It's showing that as higher is the number of firms, that average cost is going to increase. Just keep in mind, if there are many competitors, that means you're going to have a smaller demand. So the average cost is not going to be so small as in the case in which you have few competitors, then you're going to produce a lot, and that fixed cost is going to be shared among all the production. So it's going to decrease, and then the average cost as well. So that's why this is with a positive slope, okay? While in the case of prices, it's just in the other way around. The thing that we are observing is if the number of firms is small, then your monopolistic power is going to be higher. So that means you are going to fix higher prices, okay? But if there are many competitors, then you are able to fix a small price. Why is that? Because you have many competitors, and then any of them can decide to reduce the price. And you have to do the same thing, because though your good is differentiated, also is important the variation of prices. Also is important the difference between the price of me and the price of my competitors, okay? What is going to be the equilibrium? Of course, it's going to be here. Okay, so this is a long run situation. Why I said that? Because in the long run, we said that the profits of each company is going to be zero. How is that possible? Because we know also that the benefit is zero when the price that you put price are equal to the average cost. So here we have this line is for prices. So here we have prices, and also we have the average cost. Okay, so this line is giving me the average cost per units of n. Okay, number of firms. So here the average cost equals to the price. So the revenue that I'm going to get for each unit is the same as the average cost. So the revenue per unit is zero, so the total revenue is zero. So this instead is not, for instance, a long run equilibrium. Why is that? Because here you have that the price is higher than the average cost. If the price is higher than my cost, my average cost or unit cost, that means, oh, it's a good situation, right? So that's going to mean that many other competitors want to produce here. So the number of, if this is for the equilibrium in the long run. So if I start here, we are going to see that more competitors are coming into the market. So as higher is the number of new competitors, that means that the price I can fix is going to be smaller, okay? Down. You can see that this line is going down and also at the same time to the right side. And in the case of, this is in terms of the fix that the price that I can fix, okay? And this is about the cost I'm suffering. So as number is the number of industry, that means more competition. I'm going to produce a smaller share, so my average cost is going to increase. And that is going to end up here. No more firms are going to get into the market. Why? Because any point in this side of the graph involves that the average cost is higher than the price. So you are having, instead of profits, negative profits, okay? You are losing money. So that's why here you are going to have the production of equilibrium and the price of equilibrium, which equal the average cost of equilibrium, okay? Now we are going to see the implication of international trade. We are going to see that this curve, the one that is connected with the average cost, is the one that is going to change, okay? Why is that? Because we also know that the average cost depends on the size of the market. And if you open your economy, that means you are going to have access to a bigger demand. So the size of the market is going to be higher. Okay, so that is going to be pretty interesting. Something else. Here we have N. N is the number of firms, so it's also the number of varieties that these people is enjoying. Okay, consumer now have from the same products N different varieties, which is something good. Okay, graphically, how it's going to be the way of representing international trade. So let's say that this is home, and we're going to see that now the share of the market is going to be higher. So that means that as higher is the share of the market, the average cost is going to be smaller. But where is the average cost in our graph? Here, no, here is the number of firms, so here is the average cost, okay? So this CC corresponds to the average cost, remember that, while the P corresponds with the prices, okay? So the average cost now is going to be, given that the size is higher, the average cost is going to be smaller because the connection is negative. So that means if this was the average cost curve, now it's going to be smaller. So smaller here is 0 because the average cost is in the vertical, that means it's closer to 0. So it can be a 0.8, I'm going to use a different color. Okay, so for instance this one. This is going to be the new average cost, okay? So if this was a starting point, now we can see that the number of firms, so the number of varieties that each consumer is going to face is higher. And because people love variety, now consumers are going to be better off. What about the price? Also, they are going to enjoy a lower price respect to the initial one. Okay? So, they are going to enjoy more variety and also lower prices. But what about firms? We are going to see that the number of firms is not going to be the number of firms in the home economy plus the number of firms in the foreign economy. Eventually, some firms are going to die. So the number of firms is going to be smaller and they are going to face a higher demand. So each company is going to be better off, right? In fact, they are going to have lower also average cost. Eventually, the average cost and the price is going to be the same. So the profit is 0 in the long run. But in the short run, they are going to enjoy profits, okay? So each economic agents are going to be better off except those firms that are going to die. But now we are going to see a numerical example. So for this exercise, I'm going to try to go step by step, okay? So here we have the information of the exercise. On the one hand, we have the value of P, what's just a parameter that we are going to need, which is connected with the price, okay? With the price of the, better say with the demand that producer face, and because they have a sort of power, they are going to face that demand in a way that they can change the price. Just keep in mind that here producers are not price taker, are price setters. So this is a parameter that is coming from the demand. F, it was for the fixed cost. So it was the oven. The cost is like the cost of the oven that we have in our example. While C, it was the marginal cost. So it was the cost of producing just 1 unit of bread. We were talking about all the ingredients, okay? The flour, the water, the sugar, all the things that that can be behind the production of one bread, okay? Also, we have here the side of each economy, because we are going to have two economies, the home economy and the foreign economy. Both economies are going to be equal in terms of technology, so that means that the function of cost is going to be the same, because they have the same technology, so the cost that each producer is going to face is the same all over the world, okay, in the two economies. Also, the characteristic of the demand is going to be the same. The only difference that we are going to have here, in this case, is the size of the market, okay? So this is the size of the market for the home economy, and this is the size of the market for the foreign economy. We can talk about sales as a way of observing the size of each market, or sometimes you can see that some exercise use the number of people. It's another way of getting the size of the market, okay? So, first of all, the question here I think was the number of firms in each economy. So we are going to work with two economies that they are going to be close. So in that context, we want to know what is the number of firms of equilibrium in each economy and the price, okay, of that two economies. Why we are going to do that? Because we want to see the number of firms, the number of varieties that people enjoy, and also the price before of international trade. And then we are going to do the same exercise, but when the two economies are open. So we are going to see again the number of firms, so that means the number of varieties that each consumer is going to find in the market, and also the price. And with that we are going to be able to see the welfare consequence of international trade in a context of economies really similar, okay? So, the first thing, well, we already know that the equilibrium is going to be in a point like this. Here, if you remember, this graph is coming from the previous explanation. Here we have the average cost and also the price. Here we have the number of firms. So the equilibrium is that point in which the average cost, which is this line, meet with the price, okay? So it's going to be this point. So here, if we have here the average cost and the price that each company is going to charge, that means that when the average cost and the price is the same value, that is going to be associated with this number of firms. So we are going to start just putting average cost equal to the price, because that is going to be that unique point in which both curves are crossing. So they are in equilibrium. Just keep in mind that here we have all the value of the average cost depending on the number of firms. As higher is the number of firms, the average cost is going to be higher, because that means more competition, so eventually you're going to produce less because you have more competitors given the size of the markets. Given the prices, it was an opposite relationship. It was negative in the way that as higher is the number of firms, so higher is the volume of competitors, you can fix a lower price. So higher number of competitors, lower price, negative relationship. The equilibrium is going to be that price that is equal to the average cost, okay? Because in the long run, the benefits are going to be zero and profits are zero when the average cost, so the cost per unit, it's equal to the marginal revenue, which is the price. So when you are charging a price that is equal to your cost, benefits are zero. So average cost. We know that the average cost is total cost divided by the quantity. So that is like also unit cost. Where cost is fixed cost, which is this value, fixed cost, plus the variable cost. The variable cost depends on the quantity, that's why it's variable. It varies with the quantity. So it's going to be this number times the quantity. And here we already have the average cost because each element is divided by the quantity. Quantity here and quantity here is cancelled off. But the other quantity under the fixed cost is going to be there. We know also that the quantity that each firm is going to produce is going to be equal across all the firms, because all of them are equal. And what is that number of production? Well, it depends on the size of the market and the number of companies. So the quantity that each economy is going to produce is just equal to the size of the market over the number of firms, in the way that as higher is the size of the market, I'm going to produce more. Or when the number of competitors is really small, and given a size of the market, as lower is the number of competitors, I'm going to produce more. Okay. Also, we know that the price depends on the marginal cost, this C value, and 1 over the number of firms times this P. Okay? You don't need to know this formula by heart. Okay? I'm going to give you that formula always because I know it's a little bit difficult. But at least you must know the average cost curve. Okay? That is really easy because it's just total cost divided by the quantity, where total cost is fixed cost plus variable cost. Okay? Okay. Average cost, as we said, is the fixed cost divided by the quantity produced, which is the size of the market. Yeah, sorry, I just missed a zero here. The size of the market divided by the number of firms plus this marginal cost, because it was the marginal cost times the quantity divided by the quantity, and quantity is cancelled off. And here we have also the price. Keep in mind that, as we said, price is this C, we have that C, plus here is 1 over B. But here we have B. So from here we know that 1 over B, which is the element that we have here, 1 over B, this is just taking this value and make the inverse of that value. So the number that is down now is going to be up. So this is equal to just 30,000. Okay, it's really easy. I hope this is not a problem for you. That's why we have here that value. But 1 over n is the same. Okay, so now I'm going to put this and this together. It's going to be just one equation, okay, because it's this equal to this one. It's one equation and one unknown variable, which is n, the number of firms. So here you have the average cost equal to the price. Okay, so let's start with the easy part. So this is with a positive sign. It can go to the other side, but with a negative sign. So if this is with a positive sign and go with a negative one, this is going to be then cancelled with this one. Okay? Now, more things. Also, here I'm going to put it in a different way, step by step. So you can put this, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to keep 2. This is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 9 times 1. Time 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over n. Okay, you can see that so this is and this cancel off. So you can see that this number is equal to this number, right? Because it's a number times another number, which is just multiplied by 10. Well, it's not, it could be seen like 10 over 5, okay? But it's the same as 100,000, okay? So this and this is the same value. And this is the same as this one, okay? 5 zeros, so we have 5 zeros here. I just took 5 zeros here. Why I'm doing that? Because I want to show you the easy that this just cancel out this with this. You can do this always that you have division or multiplication, okay? You have a plus here in any point or a minus, you can do that. But because now it's just a division, you can do it. Nevertheless, if you prefer following with all the zeros, you can do it, okay? So always that you feel more safe or more sure about the thing that you are doing, just keeping all the numbers is okay. The result is going to be always the same. But just I want to show you that this is a little bit confusing using all those zeros, so you can take off those zeros just in this easy way, okay? So here we are going to have this. Okay, how is the way of in this big value put it in a nicer way? It just is like, okay, you can see this like if you have this number over 1, which is the same number, one number over 1 is the number. 3 over 1 is 3. Okay? 100 over 1 is 100. So that is the same. Now over, here we have 9 divided by n. Okay? And this is going to be just the same. So how was the way of doing this? Is the string cases has to be multiplied. So this times this, and that is going to be in the up part over this multiplied by this. Okay, so I'm going to continue here. You are going to have n times 7,500 over 1 multiplied by 9 is just 9, which must be equal to the other part of the expression, okay? Divided by n. Keep in mind that the unknown variable is n, so we are going to continue looking for that value. So continuing from here, we are going to find that value, the n value. So this here is multiplying, so goes to the other side. Sorry, this is dividing, so goes to the other side multiplying. And with the number 9 is the same. Here is under, so it's going to be over. Here is dividing, it's going to be multiplying in the other side. So we are going to have n times 7,500 multiplied by n. N times n is n squared, okay? So that's why I'm going to just put together the two n's that we have, and because both of them are multiplying, is the same, one number times the same number is the number over 2, okay? So that's why I'm going to put that. Here's going to be n squared, okay? Equal to, I said, this is dividing, so go to the other side, multiply. 9 times 3, 30,000. So, because it's a multiplication, it doesn't matter the order. So, this is the thing that we are looking for. Because this is multiplying, goes to the other side, dividing. Just keep in mind that we want to isolate the n, to know the value of that variable. N squared, then is this, times this one, over 7,500. So to get the value of n, it's just making, because here we have an over 2, we need to do just the square, and then we are going to get the value of n. And the square here also has to be then the square here. Otherwise, you are not going to, like, being honest with the minus here. If you do something in one side of the expression, you have to do the same thing in the other side. Okay, so this is going to be the square and this value. I think in the case of the home economy, this was 6. Though, please check that, okay? I think it was 6. And in the case of the foreign economy, I don't remember, I have to do the math. Nevertheless, for doing the same exercise, but in the case of the foreign economy, instead of using the x value that we have for the home economy, you have to use the x value, so the size of the market for the foreign economy, and just making that small change, you're using the same formula, you are going to have the value of the number of firms, okay, in that industry. How is the way then to get the value of the price? Well, we know that the value of the price is going to be also equal to the value of the average cost. So if you don't remember the formula for the price, you can use the formula for the average cost, which is easier. So the average cost, it was the fixed cost over the quantity. So here the quantity also can be seen as the size of the market over the number of firms, plus this C value, which was the marginal cost. So it was the cost of just 1 unit of bread. So We have this value because it was in the exercise. Also we have this value, we have this value which was the size of the market, and now just introducing this number we can get the average cost that in the equilibrium is equal to the price, which was the other question of this exercise. Okay? Now we are going to see the graphical representation of these two economies when they are close. So here we have the home case and the foreign case. Because both of them have the same technology, the course which is about prices has to be equal. Okay? What about the cost, the average cost? It's going to be different. How is that? It depends on the size of the market. If you remember, the price depends on the number of firms, in the way that as higher is the number of firms, lower has to be the price that you charge, because you have more competition. What about the average cost that is represented with this blue line here? The average cost depends, so is in function of the number of firms, in the way that as higher is the number of firms, you are going to produce less, but also depend on the size of the market. So, because the size of the market in the foreign economy is higher, more consumers, that means that each company is going to produce more. Okay? Given the same value of n, so given the same number of companies, because here there are more consumers, each firm is going to produce more than here, because the size of the market is smaller. That's why the average cost for each number of n, number 1, 2, 3, 4, for all of them is going to be smaller. So average cost is here. Be smaller means be closer to 0. So it's like this line, instead of being here, in the foreign economy is going to be a little bit down, because each number of n is going to be associated with a smaller average cost. Okay, that is for the foreign economy, which is this one. So we should have an equal PP curve, but in the case of the foreign economy, the average cost, it has to be flatter. Okay, more to down. Down, because average cost is here. It can be goes up or down, so it should be down. So given that circumstance, we already know the number of firms in the home economy. We can get the same value for the foreign economy. If you do it, it has to be 8. And the price, in the way that I showed you previously. And here the price is going to be 8, where the price here is going to be 9. Why is that? Well, here we are going to have lower number of firms, because the size of the market is smaller, and also the prices are going to be higher. Just keep in mind that for an equilibrium price, it depends also on the average cost. And here we have that in general the average cost is going to be higher than in the other. Okay. Also it's true that the number of competitors here is smaller. So as smaller is the number of competitors, higher can be the price that you charge. While in the other case, the average cost that these companies are going to face are going to be smaller. So that's going to make that the prices can be smaller as well. Though the number of competitors is higher than here, but also it's true that the size of the market is much more higher here than there. So in economy which is higher, we should expect more varieties and lower prices than an economy which is smaller. So here we are going to have less varieties and higher prices. Let's see the result of trade open. Okay? To get the result, so that means the number of firms that are going to produce and the price, the only thing that you need to do is doing all the same calculus, all the same math, but instead of using the side of home or the side of the foreign economy, the side that you need to use is the total side. So that means the side of home plus the side of the foreign economy. Okay? But it's doing everything again. It's doing the same thing again, using the same formulas to get n and to get the price, but using the new side. And now we are going to see the result. So graphically, what is the thing that we are going to get? Well, here we have the average cost and the price, as always. Here the number of frames. This is the price curve. It's going to be always the same, okay? Because it doesn't depend on the side of the market. So, though now the side of the market is higher, it doesn't change, okay? Also, we have here the average cost curve for the home economy, the average cost curve for the foreign economy, and the new average cost curve when it's global, okay? I just decided to put all of them, though the only valid is going to be here in this new context of international trade, because I think it's interesting to see how is the change of that curve. You can see that as higher is the size of the market, this curve is going to be closer, so it's going to be down, right? Let's keep in mind that the average cost is in the vertical, so being more down is because the average cost in general is going to be lower. So where is going to be the new equilibrium in this point? What is the number of firms associated is 10. So what is the meaning of that? The meaning of that is now its consumer is able to have available 10 different varieties, which is much better than before, because in the case of the home economy, they were just able to have 6 varieties available. In the case of the foreign economy, it was 8, it was not bad, but now 10 is even better. And those are coming from home or for the foreign economy, okay? So the number of varieties are going to be higher. That is a good thing for the consumers. What about the price? Also, it's going to be smaller. Sorry, because I think I said that for the foreign economy it was 8, but it was 9, the initial price, okay, in the closed economy. In the home case it was 10, in the foreign economy it was around 9, and now the prices are going to be lower. So, by sure, consumers are going to be better off, because now they have more varieties available, they love varieties, so it's something good, and also they are going to enjoy lower prices. But you can see that the number of firms is going to be smaller than in the context of a closed economy. When the economies were closed, in the home economy we have 6 firms, in the foreign economy we had 8 firms, so in total it was 14. But now the number of firms is just 10. That means in this process, some industry or some firms have died. Okay, so for those firms that die, this is a bad situation. Nevertheless, for the economies that survive, these situations are going to be good. They are going to be better off. Though eventually the profit theoretically must be zero, at least for a while they are going to enjoy profits, and they are going to use in a higher efficient way the firm that they have. Okay, so they are going to achieve the economies of scale in a better way than before. Now they are going to use, it's like in our example, it's like I have the oven, and I'm going to use the oven a lot, much more than before, because now it's not just having my home consumers, I'm also able to export my production, so I'm going to use a lot at the maximum level the oven. That was a really expensive things. It was a fixed cost at the beginning of starting producing, so they are going to enjoy that, and that is going to generate profits in the short run, higher profits than in a closed context. Okay, so that's why it's going to be beneficial for all, for consumers and also for the producer who survives.